What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast on Tuesday. I realized that I had this, I was using this for this video the other day and I never fixed it. So, 1 second. There's that. Okay, cool. All right, cool. I just want to fix everything. I had all the compression turned off. I had all the de-esser turned off. Obviously all that stuff that goofs up videos. So I didn't turn it back on. Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast. Come and hang out with us, talk about guitar stuff. Today we're going to talk about what kind of customer are you when you go buy gear? I don't think people think about that enough before they start, thinking about gear. So we're going to talk about that. One of the things we're going to do right away, though, is we need to talk about this video that happened on... What day was it? Was it Saturday? My days are all running together. I guess it was Saturday. So Saturday is the day we put up the video about all the acoustic guitars. So we had our McPherson carbon fiber Sable. We had our D28. We had our D18. And we had my Breedlove Premier. And we played them all blind. And that was kind of fun. It was kind of fun to do, actually. Also, like, just to play them, because the night before that video, I had played them all back to back. So before we get into all that, though, I just want everybody to know this is an ad-free podcast. We shut the ads off for these live streams. So if you want to support the channel, you can use a super chat. That will help. You can also go to Dylan Talks Tone and buy pickups. Yep. Or if you don't want pickups, you could buy other stuff. We have caps and pots and all kinds of high quality junk over there. It's not junk, it's awesome. But yeah. And yeah, so we got a bunch of neat stuff. A bunch of neat ways to support the channel. You can actually go down to the links in the description and you can use those links. That'll support the channel a little bit too. Not as much as buying pickups though. Let's see. So, first of all, before we get into the what kind of customer are you, which is going to be fun. So I want to know what kind of customer you think you are. We're going to talk about this, and I'm curious to know if it informs you to make a different judgment about yourself after we discuss this. Okay, so that's going to be kind of a fun conversation. We got a super chat from Tazzy Tim. Good morning, all. 6 a.m. in Australia. Ooh, and it's still dark because it's opposite land over there with seasons and stuff too. So right on. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that, and I'm not going to tell you who because I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but only one person of everybody who commented on this got this right that I saw. Now, I tried to see all of the comments, but maybe I missed one. So as far as I could tell, only one person got this right. Another super chat from Kyle, and he says, speaking of new gear, I got a stand-up double bass. Oh, sweet. That's cool. My dad's got one of those. That's pretty rad. Okay, so the way we did this is I just recorded all 4 of them in a random order. We did not edit them. At 4:10, which is in a few minutes, the uncut, edited version of that from the action camera that I had on the side will be on Patreon, so you will be able to watch that. I'm also going to upload it as a members-only video on YouTube right after the podcast. I just didn't have time to do it right before, so that you'll be able to see that. So members that have joined us on YouTube, everybody, not just, there's no levels to it. It'll just be everybody. And then everybody on Patreon, you'll be able to watch that uncut, because there's going to be people that be like, you did this wrong. I already had people being like, well, I can hear all the compression. I'm like, dude, there's no compression. Like, we shut everything off. We did it as equal as possible. One person was pretty perceptive about this, though, and said, you can definitely tell why you have to really, when you're recording, you have to take time to figure out for each guitar what the mic placement was, because it was very apparent that the mic placement was not ideal for a couple of those guitars, right? But it also exaggerated, I guess, some qualities about them, which is interesting. So yeah, super fun stuff. So let's see, question right before we get into this. Hope you're well. I just bought a 78 Princeton reverb. Oh, sweet. The real thing is freaking cool, but also loud. Yeah. also my buddy who said it was like, these are smooth and hi-fi about your center punch. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Okay, so first guitar was the Breedlove Premier, which is a rosewood back and sides, spruce top, mahogany neck. The second one was a D18. The third one was a McPherson carbon fiber guitar, and the fourth one was a D28. Some folks got individual ones correct, but only one person got all of them right, which was encouraging for me because so many people, I tell you, the reason I did it that way, so many people will watch these videos when I do these kind of like side-by-side things, and they just listen with their eyes. You know, well, I didn't like that guitar. That's the other thing. There's a lot of people that were like, I like this guitar the most, and I like this guitar the least. And those answers surprised me as well. There's no wrong answer for any of that, but it just surprised me as well. You know, people are really, really ding-dongs when it comes to hating the McPherson just because of what it's made of. And the blind test just proves you wrong. I mean, it's just so good. Super fun. And that's a guitar that sounds better if you can mic it correctly, because the sound hole's in a different spot. The neck joint the top is different. So because that thing has a floating, like a cantilevered neck joint, the top vibrates all the way up to the edge of the body, not to the edge of the neck. So it's different. It's definitely different, which is pretty fun. So anyway, yeah, it was a cool thing to do, and I really enjoyed it. We're gonna do probably a couple other videos with acoustic stuff coming up here soon. If you have any ideas or requests for acoustic stuff, one of the videos we're gonna do is a setup on the D18 because the saddle height needs to come down a little bit. I'm not gonna bring it down a whole lot, but it needs to come down a little bit. Martins always ship with the saddles kind of tall. And that's obviously because that's a one-way adjustment. Once you sand off the bottom, you can't put it back. So everybody likes it a little different. I actually don't like my action on my acoustic guitars to be overly low because I think it loses a little bit. We got a super chat from Lithium, man. He says, my oldest guitar is a 2005 67 Flying V that now has a gold set of your Thruxton pickups. Oh, that's rad. Right on. Thanks, man. All right, so let's talk about customers. What kind of customer are you? I'm going to just list off a bunch of products. Are you a GFS person, Harley Benton person, Seymour Duncan person, Yamaha person, Firefly person, Epiphone person, Squier person, Fender, Gibson, PRS, or like any of the boutique brands, you know, like the fancier boutique brands, i.e. do you play praise and worship? Just kidding. You know, or anything else, Schecter, you know, like where do you put yourself when you're like, you know, or are you pretty adventurous when it comes to this stuff as a business owner? So I'll give you my perspective on it. And I'll tell you that I think that guitar players don't think about this enough. And what it leads to is super judgy things about various brands. So like, you know, the whole Epiphone versus Gibson thing, a lot, I think that comes from people want to have a Gibson, but they can't afford it. So they bash on them because Epiphone's all they can afford. But really, you're an Epiphone guy. You're not a Gibson guy, right? So we'll talk about that in a minute. So as a business owner, though, this is something I really have to think about, because one of the principal things when you run any kind of business and have any kind of product is if you don't have a good definition of who your client is, you'll have a hard time selling your product because you'll try to sell it to the wrong people. So what'll happen is you'll end up targeting the wrong folks, and then those folks will not be as happy with your product because they're the wrong folks for it. Okay. And the reason I bring up why that's so important is because the reason guitar gear sucks to some people is not because the guitar gear sucks. It's amazing, but it's the wrong gear for you. You're shopping in the wrong place. You're looking at the wrong feature set. You're looking at the wrong market, right? Each of these brands put guitars in the market at various price points and at various levels, if you want to call it that, for a reason. And what that reason is to target the person that guitar is meant for. Okay. And whether that be cost-wise, whether that be feature set, whether that be country of origin, if that's important to folks, all those things are targeted for a particular range of customer. Okay. So that's why the whole just as good as thing is stupid to me, because a Squire's not just as good as this other guitar. It's not, but it's not meant to be. It's made for a particular person. So what kind of person are you? And do you think you're a different person than you really are? It's super important to think about as a business owner, because I really need to understand who my ideal customer is. And the reason that this came up is because, honestly, it came up because of the Temu video, that series of videos and some other videos we've been doing lately. And people will say to me, and I thought we should talk about this, it'd be fun. People say to me, well, why do you bash on a Temu guitar? Because everybody can afford one, and then they'll just buy your pickups and put them in it. Or, why don't you like Harley Benton's? Because everybody will just buy your pickups and put them in it. And my answer to that is, there may be a percentage of folks who buy those products, but it's not going to be the majority. Here's why. When you say that, you're thinking about the instrument itself. Okay. A lot of times we as consumers, we think about the products and not the people. Either that's who I am or who my customer is. We don't think about the people. So we're like, this guitar is this, but what about the person? Okay. The reason that's important is because the person who buys a Temu guitar or the person who buys a Harley Benton guitar, why do they want that guitar? What's it for? Is it for a modding platform because it's fun? Okay. Is it because of budget and they can't afford a whole lot more? Is it because they don't know any better and they're buying something entry level because they don't have those things? I would venture to say that most of those people are not the people who are buying Dylan Talks Tone products. Well, I know it's the truth. Our demographic is not those folks. So, which is totally fine. But we're going to talk about it for the purposes of understanding. This is a really neat thing to think about. I've researched this so much because, obviously I've owned my own businesses since I was really young, and I've thought about this a lot. So, people assume, okay, that when they watch our videos, that we just want everybody with a cheap guitar to watch our videos to buy our products. And that's not really the case. That's not really the case. Here's why. If you have a $200 guitar, are you going to spend $400 on pickups for that guitar? Or for a loaded pickguard for $400 or $350 for a set of, no, it's $269 for a set of humbuckers. So something like that, $269, $279. So let's call it $300 by the time you get them in your hand. So $300 for a set of humbuckers, $300 for a set of Strat pickups. Are you going to spend that on a $200 guitar? The entry-level guitar player, even the modder, is probably not going to be that guy, because they're going to be looking for bargains. They're going to be looking for upgrades, but they also know that they enjoy doing this and they want to buy more stuff. So they'll probably buy another cheap guitar and do it to that. So they'll buy GFS pickups. They'll buy Planetone pickups. They'll buy, which in their market segment, I guess are totally fine for what they are, but they're not a premium product really, right? So let me tell you, I'm going to tell you who my customer is. Okay. And this is not to say that if you are not this person and you want to try my stuff, that you can't. But I think it's a cool thing to discover stuff. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. We make a premium product. Okay, it is not an entry-level product. It is not a beginner product. It is not a price point product. We do not compromise on anything, right? We buy the best of everything and we use the best of everything. If you want the best, if you're the kind of person who sees when you go to Discount Tire and it's good, better, best, and you click on best to filter the tires, or if you go to, if you're doing, any kind of consumer stuff, you're buying a toaster, and you want the best one, there's always the cheapest. There's always like the best value. There's the cheapest one. There's the most premium. There's the overall recommended, which is kind of a mix of those things. But if you're the one that goes and says, click the best, I want something really good, that's who buys our stuff. Discerning people who really get what it means to buy a premium product, right? So the folks that say, what are you really getting with a custom shop guitar? Chances are they haven't figured it out yet. And I'm not saying you won't. You just might not yet. Maybe you haven't gotten a chance to play one. We must have delivery. Hey, it's cool. I think the FedEx guys approved. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So here's the thing about that. When you concentrate on the person, then if you are the guy that says, I like good, I like better, or I like best, wherever that puts you, the couple cool things happen. If you're the good person, then you don't have to be the just as good person. You just be happy with what you have. That's really awesome. The same thing with the better person. The better person is going to be, good, better, best. The better person, and I don't mean better person. I mean the person who chooses the better label on the tires at discount, is going to be a little bit more adventurous, right? They're gonna be curious. Like, I wonder how I can make improvements to this. I wonder if I can make this better. Is there a way to Is there a way to improve this? If I learn something with knowledge, just learning a concept, if I buy this product, if I make this adjustment, if I do this thing, will it get better? That's the better person, which is really fun. But they also may not understand or value the best because they don't understand it yet. They're in the learning process. They're learning. Everybody's always learning, but they're really in this learning process. Like, I just want to try a bunch of different stuff, right? Oh, we got a super chat. Jay Armenter says, thanks for all the lefty advice and fantastic pickups. Glad to finally catch a live show. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And so the people that buy our stuff are curious about what is out there. What is the best stuff that there is? No compromise, and the reason that's neat is if you just want the best, then there's not a lot of goofing around, right? And if you already appreciate and get to know a brand before you buy it, right? Based on reputation, based on what you read, based on whatever. I will tell you from the customer service side of it, and from the purchasing, I know it from other things like, I don't know, when I buy a pocket knife or whatever. Like this knife right here. This is a Spartan Harsey folder, and it's a premium knife. And I knew it was going to be worth what I paid for it when I got it. I just knew, because they do everything the best, Are there things that are interesting about it that are different from another product? Absolutely. It's not a Chris Reeves Benza for sure. Thicker blade stock, etc. But it still is the best. Like it's up there. I have total confidence that it was going to be awesome when I clicked the button to buy it. So when you can do that, then it's easier as a consumer because you just have confidence that it's going to be okay. And there's not as much, you can't worry about price as much. You kind of just have to get what you want and then, oh, okay, yeah, that's a fair amount of money for sure. That's fine. And then I'll tell you on the other side of it, as a result of that, it makes my job easier. The amount of, when somebody is price shopping, hey, how much is this? Two things will happen. There'll be a better person or there'll be a best person. The better person will be the person with an inexpensive guitar, like Harley Benton, and he will, I'm super excited to try this product. How much is it? Because I have a good guitar, but I want to make it better, but I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And they'll say, okay, I'll get back with you in a couple months, and maybe they got to go save up some money, or maybe they got to rearrange some things or decide how much of a priority is for them. And they come back and they buy it and they're super happy. They're super stoked. The best people, the people that just want the best, they just buy it and I never hear from them again. I mean, unless we have a problem. Like, if you have there's a wiring issue with a Strat pickguard or something. If there's something, a problem, we don't have that very often though. If you go and look at the reviews on Dylan Talks Tone website, you'll see that, there might be 4 or 5 reviews out of 300 that are less than 5 stars, So it makes the customer service, from my perspective, when I have the right customer, it makes it way easier because they just know and I just know and it's fine and they get the product and they're happy with it, right? It's a little thankless sometimes because you don't hear about it. It just disappears. They just love it and they just go. And as a consumer of that type of consumer, if you are that person, you will be happier too. The person who is good on the good side of the things, they're usually price shopping. They're usually like, yeah, but I can always tell these people too. So it'll be like, the question will start out, how much is it? How does it compare to this pickup, or this pickup? How many K is it? Do you make a hotter one? All these, they're going off a spec sheet instead of just trust in the brand is not the right words, but instead of just being like, what are you looking for? I want to, because that's not how we sell pickups. We don't spec sell, we're like, it's like a shirt, I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for, or a suit, right? Like, this is what I'm looking for. Okay. Do you want it like straight? Do you want like skinny? Do you want tapered pants? Do you want straight? Do you want double breasted? Do you want single breasted? What kind of lapels do you want? Okay. Now we know that. Let me direct you over here, and here's a couple of choices. Done. That's how I work. I'm not a pushy guy either. Another super chat. Price doesn't matter to me. If I want it, I want it. Amen to that. Sometimes you make a mistake, but even then, you know what I think? I think that person, a person like that, makes less of those mistakes. I think because you don't really want something until you really want it. If that makes sense. That's the way I am kind of with pocket knives and stuff. I've never sold one, actually. I've never sold a pocket knife because I get specifically curious. I don't sell guitars that much anymore either because I get specifically curious, about a thing. I learn everything I want to learn about it. I'm like super stoked. And then I'm like, yeah, I really want one of those. And it might take me a while to get there. And I'm like, yeah, I really want one of those. And I never sell anything. Once I get it to where it's like, oh, that's in my permanent collection for sure. Even if I get it and I'm like, well, it's not quite what I thought it was, but where it lacks here and here, it gains here and here, and it all evens out, and I still really love it. There's been a few guitars like that that I think about that I'm just like, Silver Sky. When I bought my first one, I hated that guitar. And I mean, I didn't even play it for like 3 weeks. And then I was like, I need to give this thing another chance before I sell it. And I fell in love with it. And I've had one ever since because I love that guitar. I mean, the day I sold my first one, I think I ordered the second one the next day. Like, I was like, oh, why did I do that? You know what I mean? Yeah, no, it's there. So when you get that, feeling, it's because you bought the right thing, but it's also because you're the right customer for the right thing. That's the thing. And I guess, what's interesting about this is, so if you take my little definition of how I feel about who my customer is, it's a person who wants a premium product. They click the best box, right, to filter their products. They're adventurous. They want to learn stuff. They want to know more stuff. They want to experience as many things as possible, and they're not price shopping. Those folks. You notice that I don't care how much their guitar costs at all. Like, I don't care if your guitar is $139 like that Strat we bought last week, or if it's $6,000 like a custom shop. I don't care. It does not matter to me how much your guitar costs. What I care about is the person. And I think too many people, when we're thinking about this, even for myself, like, am I going to be happy with, Leslie will ask me this. We'll be shopping for a product. In fact, we were just shopping for one yesterday. And she was like, but this is what you have and you love it. If we do this, are you going to be happy with it? I don't know. And we decided not to do it. And it wasn't a thing about how cheap or expensive it was. It wasn't a thing about any of that. It's like, are you going to be happy with it? If you shop with that in mind, you're going to be happy with more stuff. Like more of your purchasing decisions, especially in the music stuff, right? And again, it doesn't matter how much the guitar costs. It could be a Harley Benton, it could be a Firefly, it could be any of those $200 guitars. It doesn't matter. But if you're a person who is buying the right product for you, and this is what's also interesting too, is there's a couple in my experience, there's a couple of different cheap guitar owners. Okay. There's obviously a beginner guitar player who doesn't know how much, or doesn't want to, or, doesn't realize the expense of this hobby once you dive into it. And they're still on the leading edge of that. They're still figuring it out. And they, $300 or a classic vibe is all they can, or even that debut thing I got the other night for $139. That's all they are willing, even if somebody could have plenty of money to afford whatever they want, but they're just not willing to spend more than X amount of dollars because they don't want to invest in themselves more than this too much yet. They're just not there. So there's that person. Then there's there's a couple of different kind of modders, right? There's the parts caster, Craigslist parts, box of a bunch of junk in their garage. True, like, bargain hunter modder guys, right? Who are, they're Frankensteining guitars together. They're, I've got this guitar with this neck on it. And I've got this, and they're like those guys, right? A very small percentage of those folks buy our stuff. And then in that same range, I would also say that that's where there's also going to be a group of your Harley Benton guys and your Firefly guys in that same group, and they're buying really inexpensive guitars, and then but they're upgrading them sort of with they're upgrading them with like GFS parts, and if you go in those forums, it's always like, hey, are these Music Lily tuners better than these other Amazon tuners, right? And so they're upgrading the stuff, but they're still seeking a bargain, and they're still looking at price, and they're still and they're having a blast doing it, which is awesome. But they're just not our customer because they're in this little bubble of kind of more inexpensive stuff, and they're not going to spend $300 on a set of pickups for a $200 guitar if they're looking for a bargain to save $5 on a set of tuners. You know what I mean? So there's those folks. And then there's the folks who buy the cheap guitar, who will put whatever in it. They'll have a $900 Harley Benton by the time it's done, and they don't care. But that group of folks typically, and this is not, again, these are not cross the board judgments. So if you don't find yourself in one of these groups, don't feel excluded. But just as a kind of generalization, I would say that the folks that have $900 Harley Bentons also have real Les Pauls, because to them it's a toy and they're just having fun with it. So the folks that don't care that they're putting double the price of a Squire into a Squire because it's fun, you know, there's a few of you out there. I can think of a few. I'm not going to say your names, you know, in this discussion, but I can think of a few of my customers who have like got seven low price guitars with my pickups in them, you know, and they're just having fun. It's like, you know, and they're the folks that are like, I know one guy who's like, anytime I come out with anything blue, he'll buy a set of those pickups, even if he doesn't have a guitar to put them in, and then he'll go find some inexpensive guitar, some little project guitar to put it together so he can put those blue pickups in it because he likes blue, right? So, but he doesn't care about the money. It's just the fun of it, and this, and he actually is not. He would not profess to be any sort of virtuoso guitar player, but he just really enjoys that. But he also knows that it doesn't really matter how much anything costs. I would say if people quote unquote complain in our videos and say, well, aren't those people supposed to be your customers? The former are not. Like the GFS Music Lily guys are not. But the folks who have a Les Paul and a Harley Benton, or a Les Paul and a Firefly, or a Les Paul and an Epiphone, or a custom shop Fender, or an American Fender and a Squire, those folks, that is our customer. And then anybody who is more committed even than that on up, that's who buys stuff from us, which is interesting. It's just an interesting thing to think about. And what I think about as a consumer is it saves me a lot of time and money, mostly time, if I think about what I actually want and why I want it before I get there. I am typically the consumer who nerds out about everything to the most degree possible. But by the time I go to buy it, I'm just like, okay, I want that one. Well, it comes in green and red. Okay, I want a green one. That's the only choice I need to make, right? And I would hope that most of you who watch what we do on a weekly basis are like, and honestly, this is 90% of our customer interaction is, hey, I've got this guitar. This is the project. I've watched a bunch of your videos. I'm kind of down to, should I get Thruxtons or DAFs? Should I get Super 8s or DAFs? Should I get Center Punch or whatever? Well, what are you doing with it? I'm doing this, this, and this, and this. Okay, well, I would out those and be down to these two. This is going to get you more of that. This is going to get you more of that. What do you think? Okay, I want more of that. Click the button, done. That's it. Right? Because it's just a different way. It's just a different way. Let's see. Oh, Lithium Man's got a super chat. Sorry, buddy. I'm sort of all over the place customer. Thank you for the super chat. Though I try to be as informed as much as possible, it says your fingerboard is rosewood, but what kind of rosewood? That's funny. Yeah. And I think too, it's all about priority, because like that, I don't care. That honestly, I have I don't know. What is my guitar made of? I have no idea. All I care is heavy. If it's really heavy, I mean, it's like Les Paul's 9 pounds, right? No matter what you do, it's going to be 9.5 pounds. Okay. So as long as it's within a decent range, that's fine. unless you spend lots of money for a custom shop one to get it lighter, whatever, 9 pounds. Okay. Telecasters, I like them to be really light. So I like a light guitar. That's my thing. Bad back, all that. Other than that, I don't care what the thing's made out of. I don't. We were speccing these I'll tell you this now that they're built. We were speccing these Texas Toast Gasser guitars that we built, And Matt's like, "What do you want to do for a fretboard?" He's like, "We could do, whatever you want." I'm like, "I don't know, something dark, black. I would really like it to be black. I don't care that if we spend the ebony money, but do we have something black?" And he's like, "Well, we've got this Black Kingwoods roasted Grenadillo stuff from Africa that's really awesome, and it's sustainable and it's easy to get. We don't have to dye it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be better than ebony because blah, blah, blah." He gave me all these reasons, and I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's cool." And that's what we did, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. I don't care what it is. I don't care where it came from. I mean, I need to be not illegal or, but I'm super stoked about adventurous wood selection. So I think that's really neat. I nerd out about electronics and strings, but then somebody would ask me about a fretboard and I'd go brown. Yep, that's me. That's me too. That's pretty much me too. I just want a brown. Not a big maple guy. Not a big fancy wood guy. Don't care about any of that stuff. Being a gear enthusiast has nothing to do with playing ability. Thank you very much, Fox and Hound. That's what I hate that. I will tell you that is a thing that bugs the crap out of me. People say it to me all the time. It doesn't bother me. Somebody said it about my Martin the other day when I bought that D18. They're like, "This guitar is way above his pay grade. He doesn't play it well enough to deserve it." And I'm like, to deserve it? Huh? Like, I don't know who attacked your self-worth, but mine is just fine. Thank you very much. I don't know. Cool stuff is cool. And I was telling Leslie we're going to talk about this this morning, and one of the things she said is, what about the aspirational aspect of it? She's like, we watch videos of stuff on YouTube about stuff we can't afford, the 10 most amazing houses on the whatever, or the new Lamborghini that just came out. I'm not going to buy it, but I'm still fascinated with it. Like, I still love that. I think it's neat, and I want to learn. I want to know all the things, even though I'm not going to purchase that, but that stuff's going to filter down to my Audi in a couple of years. So I'm glad to have it. I'm glad it exists, So yeah, being a gear enthusiast has nothing to do with playing ability. And the thing about the cost of your guitar has nothing to do with how enthusiastic you are about the hobby, right? And what I would say is, and I've been saying this a bunch lately, it's something I got into my personally for me, got into my head, is if you are willing to invest in yourself, to continue to improve your craft, and that means that you prioritize things differently than I do, as long as you're getting better and investing in yourself and enjoying the hobby, I don't care. Nothing makes me happier than that. Whether you're spending all your money on new tools, whether you're spending your money on a new guitar, new pickups, whatever. I mean, I'd like you to buy pickups, obviously, so we can eat food, but not if it's not right for you. That happens. I would say that happens 4 or 5 times a week that I will say, no, we don't make that. That's not a thing I do, but here's who I would go to for that thing that I like. No, we don't rewind pickups, but here's somebody who does a great job at that. No, we don't make Filtertrons. These are the ones I would buy. Those are that I have probably at least a half a dozen of those conversations every week. So if you think a half a dozen conversations, so just do the math in your head. what do we say? Set a strat. Let's say 6 people. Let's say 6 people come to me and say, I'm looking for noiseless strat pickups. Well, our pickup sets are $300 a piece. So 6 people. So that'd be $1,800 in sales this week. 6 people come and say, I want some really quiet, noiseless. I could tell them my pickups are quiet. They're not noiseless, but they're quiet and you should try them. And they get them and they're not happy with them. That's bad. So I turned down, in this little example, $1,800 in sales this week. 6 people times $300 for, it's not that much probably, but, and then they go and get Fender noiseless pickups and they're super happy with it. I'm totally okay with that. I would rather not sell you something than sell you the wrong thing. And then when the right fit comes along in the future, you'll be back, because I did that. If I sold you the wrong thing and it sucked and you hated the experience, you'd never come back for anything. If I don't sell you the wrong thing and you go buy something from somebody else, and I'm not a jerk about it because I know, I went and bought these Lawler blah blah blah. Oh, Lawler wide range pickups. Those are the ones I always recommend. They're amazing. My buddy has them in his telly and they're super good. So there you go. Maybe someday in the future we'll make them. Not right now. But if I tell you that, and then the next time you need a P90, then I'm going to be like, you should try my P90s instead of Lawler's. And you'll believe me because I sent you to Lawler because you trust me on that brand and I know my strengths and weaknesses. But see, you as a customer take responsibility in that as well. So just make sure that when you're shopping, that you're placing yourself in the right market. So if you, and this is also where I would say the whole just as good as guy thing really is a disservice to themselves. Because what happens is it becomes a constant justification and it becomes a constant fight to try to make that guitar something that it's not. And then that's going to cross over into pride of ownership too. Because if you're constantly trying to make it something that it's not, and it won't ever be, then the pride of ownership thing comes into it. And then that's going to affect your inspiration to play. Right? And anything that results in walking away from the guitar is a lose in my situation. Or in my opinion. I'm going to buy that gear that does the things I want and then mod the preference items to taste. There you go. P90 RevStar would be my example. Yeah, you buy a P90 RevStar because it's close. It's a great guitar. Really good guitar. Pickups are kind of eh. And you buy a set of my P90s, you put them in there. I'm assuming that's what you meant. And the thing will be amazing. No, I agree. Yeah. Yep. What do you think about Fender Custom Shop versus high-end parts casters with all the high-end parts and electronics and MJT finishes and etc.? I've seen both. It depends. Honestly, you're not going to save that much money. In my opinion, I'm going to go Fender Custom Shop, but you know my feelings on that. I want the real thing. I want the real thing instead of a thing that looks like the real thing, but isn't really the real thing, because you're just going to have to explain to people why you didn't get the real thing, or you're going to have to, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't. Now, if you did it yourself and it was the entire experience, then I think it's totally worth it if that's why you're doing it. I think if you're trying to get, this is my entire thing on this. If you're trying to get one thing by getting another thing and making that into the thing that you want, it will never, ever work. Here's why. Because it will never be that thing. Period. It will always be in the back of your mind that it is not the thing. So if you go get an MJT body, because they are fantastic, they are very good, and you go get a really good neck, and you go get, first of all, you're going to be $3,000 in the thing. Okay. Probably. Well, maybe not. Maybe less. It'll be less than that. Because you don't want to buy a Fender Custom Shop guitar and you think you can make something better than the Fender Custom Shop for less, there's always going to be that argument that will never go away. But if you're like, you know what? I want to do this. And then I'm going to have something that I'm super proud of that I put together. And yeah, okay, it's a parts caster, but it's going to be a freaking fantastic guitar. And I'm going to say I did all of it, you know, then do it. Then absolutely do it. But see, this is what I'm talking about. You're recognizing what kind of customer you are. So that's the key, is be honest with yourself about why you're doing the thing. And I'm not advocating just to say you should buy a Fender Custom Shop guitar or you should buy or whatever, you know, these very expensive things. But if that's what you want, then you should try to make that happen. That might mean that you have to sell some stuff. That might mean that you have to save up some money. That might mean that you have to not buy 17 guitars on Craigslist or 15 Harley Bentons. Like, that's always my joke, right? I bought a Martin. I could have bought 16 Harley Bentons instead of a Martin. Because that is what happens. It is literally what happens. And then people are like, I was thinking about it the other day. I was literally thinking about it the other day because I'm like, I really want a motorcycle. I really do. And my neighbor's got one for sale, and I was like, it's this much money. And I'm like, I could totally have it if I want. Because I could be like, well, no, I can't afford it because, you know, I got all this other stuff going and work is busy and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, whatever. I could just really not prioritize it. And then I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, if I sold that one guitar and I sold that one gun and I sold that one and I did this and this, it would just happen. No stress. I wouldn't even miss the stuff that I sold. And I'd be able to buy that motorcycle. We all have things like that. So it's just a matter of your priorities, you know? And are you a person who dreams of a thing and then gets it someday? Or are you a good person, you know, like the good box, who's just like, yeah, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. And, you know, I got it. I got a great deal on it. I got 20% off at Guitar Center on Black Friday. See, sweet. You know, it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. Just know that you're that person. That's all. And what I would hope is that the more you hang around with people, not in the bad way, but overall, that you would be like, oh, wow, there is a lot more out there and this would be fun, and take it as an adventure. I always look at everything as an adventure, not a competition. I don't think that I need to be better than anybody. I don't think I need to have a more expensive thing than somebody else. I don't. I look at it as an adventure. If I get this guitar, what is it going to bring to the table? I don't know. I'm really curious. You know what I mean? And that's what I think is really fun, is the adventure of it. Let's see. But I love Fender Custom Shop stuff. So when I bought my Martin the other day, I had about a half a dozen different guitars like my next acoustic was going to be a D18. My next electric is going to be, I'm not going to tell you. You know, like that. I have that sort of like hierarchy priority list sort of thing. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I've really, this goes back to that priority thing. I've really slowed down on how many guitars I buy because I'm trying to get some more key ones that I'm interested in. And they cost more. So you have to spread them out and be more thoughtful about it and make sure it's what you really want and whatever. But let me tell you, when you do it that way, it is worth it. Oh my goodness, it's worth it. Some of us just spend what's left on something or invest instantly and stay with a plan. Yeah, that's the thing too. If you do have, I guess that's where I'm at right now. I think I'm trying to be more thoughtful about My next one is going to be X or Y. I know what my next pistol is going to be, but I also know what my last one was. So therefore, I'm spacing it out, saving up money, doing it right. You know what I mean? Like, I know that this is going to be a process, and I have the patience. I'm trying to develop the patience to do it within that plan, right? And what'll happen, here's what happens. This is exactly what happens. You know this happens. You really want a Martin D28, right? So you're like $3,400, and you're like, okay. And you're like, okay, well, it's going to take me, let's say it's going to take me 2 years to save up for that if I, Christmas bonuses, whatever, and I'm tax returns and all. It's going to take me 2 years to save up for that. And you get like 13, 14 months into this thing, and you got $1,500, and you're like, oh man, there's a super good deal on this. And you get to like this ADD about some amp that came up on Facebook Marketplace, or your buddy is selling because he's getting a divorce and it's a smoking deal. And you know what I mean? And then you end up, like, there goes your Martin money, and you got to start all back over again. I know it's happened to you because it's happened to me. We all do it. I never understood people that have to compete with other people all the time. Yeah, it's interesting. People accuse people of doing that a lot, but I think that's because they do it. It's that whole mirroring thing. Yep. No, it's a fun conversation. I think for me, it's looking at the people. It's almost like the product doesn't matter, because it's funny that people spend so much time on, is this guitar good? And then they end up spending money on making it good anyway. So who cares, right? Next week, we're going to talk about quality control and why I think it should never have to apply to any guitar in any price range. But I really feel like it is kind of a weird thing where you're like, well, is this guitar good? Is this guitar as good as this one? Well, they all function as guitar-shaped objects. So the idea is it the shape you want? Does it make the sound you want? And can you afford it? Or can you save for it? Or do you want it bad enough to, be patient about it? I think that's a really interesting thing. Dylan Tuxtone, getting the real thing is a mojo thing. Yeah, and the mojo is real. You're right. I agree. There's a lot of non-tangibles when it comes to this stuff, It's art. Sean McMillan, thank you for the super chat. Just as good as IMO comes from not having experienced the thing. I appreciate your viewpoint and the fact that you share it. Yeah, I think I really I agree about that. That's why we talked about this last week, about go play these guitars, right? Just go play them. Because if nothing else, if you never buy any of them, then your contribution to the community will at least be meaningful, right? You'd be like, well, I went and played one for 4 hours, and my experience is this. A large majority of the chirping in the comments is from people who have not actually experienced the thing. Yeah, Gibson pegheads break off all the time. You've never owned one. Have you ever broken one? Nope. Do you know anybody that's ever broken one? Yeah, this one guy back when I was in high school, what was he doing? He was moshing. You're like, okay, dude. Like, when you think about it and you really narrow it down, remember that one time we did that thing where we had people submit to an email address actual quality control problems with PRSs and Gibsons, and I had it open for like 3 months, and I only got like 6 of them. And most of them weren't real. So, yeah. Awesome. You guys, this has been fun. I am really hurting at the moment, and I am about to be done with this. I appreciate all of you. This has been super fun. Thanks for hanging out. And I I guess we'll see you tomorrow. Do we have a video on the schedule for tomorrow? We do. We do. I think it's going to be an acoustic video tomorrow too. Cool. More Martin stuff. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you tomorrow.